Hello everyone, so it's time for another hop tester beer, and it's quite an unusual one this time. It is Möst, and these are a new Czech hop which was created or bred from some English varieties, but obviously grown over in the Czech Republic. So it's got that kind of Czech terroir, for want of a better word, but with some English hop heritage. So it should be quite an interesting one. There's some really interesting descriptors in terms of the flavours on this one. So yeah, we'll be brewing this using the usual recipe, or nearly the usual recipe. I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's get these open, have a look at the hops, and get brewing. Okay, so I mentioned the recipe will be slightly different. That's not necessarily through choice as much as just the ingredients that I've got at the moment. So I've just changed out the lager malt for Golden Promise this time, mostly because I'm just a bit short on lager malt and I want to save that to make some actual lagers with rather than all these hop tester beers. So I'm putting some Golden Promise in. It might change the base malt profile a little bit, but it shouldn't be too different in terms of delivering the hop flavours from this new Czech hop. So these are 10.2% alpha acids. These are from the 2020 harvest, bought from the malt miller, and yeah, they are supposedly quite aromatic and flavourful, maybe a little bit more so than your usual sort of Czech hops, and quite looking forward to trying these. So let's give them a little sniff. Ooh. So yeah, there's definitely quite a pungent aroma coming off of these. I wouldn't necessarily say fruity was the first thing that I pick up, but there's a deep sort of spicy, maybe some kind of dark fruit or hedgerow fruit there, but it's mainly a kind of sort of earthy, deep, spicy sort of thing going on. Definitely do get some of the impression of sort of like English hops there, but quite pungent. So yeah, have a quick look at some of them. Quite nice, deep. Whoops, I don't want to lose too many of these. I've got to go in the beer. Quite a deep, dark green. Just give them a little rub in the hands, see if we can get more aromatics off of these. There's maybe a little bit of a sweet berry thing coming off of those as I give them a little bit of a rub in the hands. But yeah, they look nice and crumbly, not too hard and sort of dried out as some hops get sometimes if they're not in great condition. Yeah, quite pungent. So I'm going to weigh these out, get them into the beer. There might not be very much, if any, brew footage for this one because I'm trying out some new equipment and I'm having a little bit of a mare, to be honest, with this brew day. So I won't go into the details of that right now. There might be a separate video about that at some point. Yeah, so let's get brewing and then we'll be back with the beer for some tasting, and hopefully once again the Hop Edition boys getting in on that at the end for a little forum discussion of what these taste like in the beer. So yeah, let's do it. So there's the finished product. That is the Möst Hop Tester Pale Ale. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a haze on it still, but it's not completely opaque. US-05 always seems to hang around for a little while. This has been in the keg for a few weeks though, and it's got a really nice thick kind of foamy head on the top of it. I think perhaps the change in base malt on the recipe has maybe affected the head retention a little bit. I don't know if that's a thing or not, whether different base malts will have an impact in that sense, but it's not too far off the usual hop tester recipe. So let's get into having a look at the beer itself and seeing what we can get aroma and flavour wise. So on the nose, it is not what I would describe as a massively punchy hop aroma wise, and I'm not really picking up on much in the way of what I would describe as either Czech or English hop kind of aromas, which, bearing in mind it's a Czech hop that's been grown from or bred from English hop varieties, is a little bit surprising. What I do get, I think, probably aside from a slightly sweeter malt profile, which I think the Golden Promise is definitely having an effect there, is a sort of red berry, maybe a hint of cherry on there, but yeah, kind of sweet malt, red berry, maybe just a touch of spice in there, so there might be a little bit of that kind of spicy hop thing going on there, but that's very, very faint if it is there at all. So yeah, kind of maybe red currant, a little bit of cherry, perhaps a little hint of strawberry, but overall it's more of a kind of slightly sharper red berry note there, maybe even a touch of raspberry, I don't know, but at the moment that's the main kind of aromas I'm picking up. Anyway, let's give it a taste and see what we get flavour wise as well. So again, coming back to the change on the malt bill, definitely makes quite a big difference to me comparing it to the previous beers anyway. The Golden Promise does give you more of a sweet, almost sort of like white bread, shortbready type malt flavour there, whereas the previous beers, I think there was much more of a kind of crisper, crackery kind of that lager malt sort of flavour profile to base on there. So I think the sweetness on the malt is maybe making the hop flavour lean a little bit more towards the sweeter fruit flavours that might be coming from it, which for me, initially, coming back to the red berry thing, it's kind of like a very sort of faint strawberry flavour, but it's more, so you know the strawberries, freeze-dried strawberries that you get in like breakfast cereals and stuff like that, it's that kind of strawberry flavour. So it's not like a sort of sweet, juicy kind of strawberry flavour, it's more that kind of not concentrated in the sense of it being really strong, but that kind of yeah, just tastes a little bit like freeze-dried strawberries to me. So again, like the aroma, it's very subtle, so I'm kind of like really searching for that flavour, but that's just the kind of initial first impression. Again, I feel like there's a little bit of spice in the background, but it's definitely not like screaming out to me, oh, this is a sort of noble-ish or English style hop, but perhaps just a very faint, slightly spicy, slightly earthy background to it. But really, much like the aroma, flavour wise for me, it's just a sort of very soft red berry, perhaps the flavour maybe leaning a little bit more towards strawberry than the aroma was, which was a little bit more of a bright sort of red berry, red currant cherry thing. Definitely still getting that kind of like freeze-dried strawberry impression myself. Is there anything else there? There's maybe just a very slight hint of sort of soft, maybe papaya or something like that, sort of soft tropical fruit flavours in there. But it's all very, very subtle. It's not a big punchy hop, but it's gentle flavour, but it's very pleasant. I must say, it's a really nice beer. I'm just not sort of like picking flavours and aromas out of it and going, like, wow, that's a massive hit of anything in particular, but it definitely seems to me anyway, seems to give this impression of red berries, red currant, sort of cherry strawberry, with just a very sort of soft or slight hint of the sort of spicy earthy flavours in the background. So I'm really interested to see what happens when I do the tasting with the other guys on the hop edition. And there's a few other guys who've got this beer as well that are probably going to do a taste along at the same time, because the flavour and aroma to me are so subtle that I think you could probably get a huge number of different descriptors for this, because people will be struggling to pick things out. But we'll see what they think. So if I was going to use this hop, I think it's more of a base layer kind of flavour. So for me, it would probably be, it could potentially work in those sort of like really sort of juicy, soft fruit flavour forward beers like Neepers and hazy pale ales and things like that. But I think it would be there more as a base layer rather than the feature hop, if you want to call it that. Let's bear in mind again that this still has only got 100 grams in it, so it's not, like it's loaded up on the hops, and perhaps if you went full bore with it, it would be a little bit more punchy. But that said, I think probably using it as a flavour layer rather than the feature hop, as it were, might be better. So if you were putting it into that style of beer, but on its own, for me, it would potentially work really nicely in a wheat beer. Springs to mind for me with those kind of like red berry flavours and just that sort of soft hint of strawberry. Maybe a lager as well, so sort of perhaps a sort of lighter lager style that you're going for. Not so much malt forward perhaps, but if you wanted to do a more hoppy kind of take on a pilsner or something like that, it could work. And obviously pale ales like this one, golden ales, as long as you're not expecting it to come out like a real big sort of hop bomb, juice bomb type affair, then this could be good on its own. And it definitely, I'm enjoying this beer, so it does work on its own in this sort of style. So yeah, for me overall it's quite smooth, certainly very gentle in terms of any bitterness that's been contributed to it. Got to sort of lead with the caveat that perhaps the Golden Promise has sweetened things up a little bit in that respect, but soft sort of red berries, touch of spice and earthiness, it very much in the background. Quite a gentle flavour and aroma profile on this one, perhaps more of a sort of layering hop in terms of flavour and stuff, but still very nice and enjoyable on its own, and one that's definitely worth experimenting with. But something that I would, if I was going to brew with this again, I'm definitely thinking like wheat beer for me. I'm thinking this as a sort of a wheat beer with just that hint of sort of red berries in it might be really nice. And yeah, one that's definitely worth trying out, but maybe not sort of leaning on it as the hop that's going to kind of drive the flavour profile on your beer, so to speak. So let's cut to the hop edition tasting of this and see what they think, because they're probably going to say a completely different range of taste descriptors and aromas to what I've just said, and I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's see what those guys think. Cheers.
Okay, so gentlemen, what are we drinking tonight? I'll tell you what we're drinking tonight. I don't want anybody else to answer this. We're drinking a beer which is genuinely taking my fancy. I'm liking this. And this just so happens to be, for those of you on the video, this is a tricky hop tester. So we've got no clue what the hops are that are in this. And this is going to be me, Owen, and Andy basically sounding like a bunch of twerps trying to interpret this beer to discover what the hop is. So,
I
Andy,
think this is going to be a tricky one for you as well. So, yeah, let's see how you get on.
What you got, Andy?
So it's kind of, I don't know, I've had this smell of Tricky's beer before, but it's almost, I think it's maybe the crystal malts that's going into it that's giving a sweetness on the nose.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I'll just let you know one thing the normal recipe that I did have to change the base malt. It's Golden Promise rather than lager
I
malt.
did clock that actually,
So
because
it is a bit sweeter.
so I do
Yeah,
wonder if that's the
I
sweetness.
ran
coming
out of
through.
lager malt, but I think it definitely adds a little bit of sweetness on the nose as well as
It does.
sweetens up the sort of the flavour from the hops a little bit too. So, but anyway,
Yeah, so the hot, so in the nose, it's more that sweetness that I'm getting, but not much. So it's not super pungent, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I think the aroma's pretty restrained on these ones.
It's almost like it's almost coming across as kind of like a caramelly kind of aroma.
Yeah.
But I'm picking up kind of, I guess, a lychee kind of vibe, but probably
okay,
after very, very clear like raspberry. It's not blackberry, it's definitely raspberry.
Yeah.
Or some sort of kind of red currant vibe going on.
On the bit that I sort of pre-record before we do this, for my little bit of the review, you've named 2 of the things so far that I picked up on the aromas, so that's reassuring.
But it's quite restrained, but then it is 100 grams that you're using total in the brew, so...
Yeah, I think it needs to be a really like pungent and quite powerful hop for the aroma to kick through, bearing in mind it's like 45 grams dry hop or something, and only about 30 in the whirlpool. So it's not heavily hopped by any stretch of the imagination. But anyone getting anything else off of it?
I think I've narrowed this down. I think I've narrowed this down to 1 or 2 hops.
Oh, he's going straight in with which hops he thinks it is. Blimey.
I'm pretty certain I know what I think it is as well.
It's either Barber Rouge.
Interesting.
Is it Barber Rouge?
What now?
Barber Rouge. It's a French hop. It was first cultivated in about 2013, 14, 15, somewhere around about there. But it never really made it until last year when they got a decent crop of it. That's quite nice. That tends to give you a bit of kumquat, which I'm not getting, and it gives you lime, which I'm not really getting either. Or it's Mistral, because I'm getting a faint hint of rose.
Ooh, interesting. It wasn't either. My guess is neither of those. So I'm going to guess with an Australian hop, and I'm going to guess Enigma.
Okay, interesting.
Because I think it gives you red currant, and I am picking up a little bit of a white wine thing.
Are you getting any lime? Because if you're not getting lime, it's probably not.
I'm not getting lime. Maybe lime.
Andy, what do you think flavour-wise? Are you just getting the same sort of thing as the aroma, or?
No, it's quite fruity, kind of almost. I don't know if it is a black currant it's leaning more towards, or
no, I'm getting orange.
You getting orange? Like grapefruit?
No, orange. Definitely not grapefruit. Tangerine, orangey grapefruit. But that is my brain's default, so I could be wrong.
Because I'm thinking if it's it's a UK hop, like Jester or something like that, possibly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Just answer me one question, Tricky.
Yeah.
What was the AA on the hop?
Oh shit. That's a good question. Bear with me 1 second.
It's probably not a UK.
Have any of us, Tricky, have we guessed the region correctly? Of any of us?
It depends how narrow you want to make the region in terms of guessing. So it's European.
Huh.
But nobody's named the country yet.
So is it German? Like Hull Melon or something?
Is it a German hop?
Is it Polish?
Nope. But you're getting warmer.
Slovenia?
No.
So it's 10% AA on this.
Oh, right.
Styrian Cardinal?
Nope.
Monroe.
Endeavour?
Nope.
Now we're just naming hops.
Okay, so
mystery.
The person who's got closest, although it's not this hop or from this country, is Andy, because he said Jester, and this is a sister hop to Jester and Olicana, I think. Just checking that.
Is it called Flyer?
No.
No.
So, any more thoughts on this before I let you know what it actually is?
I really like it. So whatever it is, I'm going to buy.
It's gorgeous. I'm really enjoying it.
I would like literally used the descriptors red currant, berries, raspberry, hedgerow, just like all of you have. And I think this is probably the beer that, and I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought because it was quite subtle that we might, people might be picking out all sorts of random stuff for this one.
Yeah.
But actually, this seems to be the beer that we've got the most consistent agreement in terms of aroma and flavor profile, which is quite interesting.
Just before you say it, anybody else getting a hint of strawberry?
Yeah.
And I was just about to say the other thing that I mentioned when I was doing the tasting of it on video was strawberry, and I specifically said it reminded me of the freeze dried strawberries you get in breakfast cereals and stuff. So not like not like that fresh strawberry thing that's slightly more kind of concentrated, sort of tangy sort of strawberry taste you get from
freeze dried strawberry.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very specific, but that was just the thing that came to mind when I tasted. But I like I said, definitely said red currant and raspberry and all those.
Are we going to watch your video on this and you're going, yeah, freeze dried strawberry?
Is
pretty
it
much, yeah.
Is it Godiva?
No, it's not UK hop. So
Belma?
Nope.
Right, go on.
Shall I give the game away? So this is a hop called Möst. Anyone heard of that before?
No,
I'm not buying it now.
It's from the Czech Republic, so it's
cool.
a Czech hop, and it's bred from UK variety. So it's sister of Jester and Olicana, and Möst is apparently Czech for bridge, and it was done sort of post Brexit as a kind of building a bridge between the UK and Czech hop brewers, despite the UK leaving the EU. So.
Tenuous political.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we keep politics out of beer, please?
And the descriptors on the Charles Faram site for this, they mention strawberry and bubblegum with some tropical and citrus fresh tones. Weirdly, in the sort of little box with additional information, they seem to pick out a completely different set of characteristics, which are blackcurrant, grapefruit, and pineapple. But I'm definitely more with the berries and the kind of hedgerow thing on this one. Maybe a very slight touch of sort of spice and earthiness in the background, but I wouldn't have sort of immediately gone Czech kind of noble heritage with this one at all. So I wouldn't have picked it out as being from the Czech Republic myself without obviously knowing that beforehand. But I do think it's really nice hop. So
it's almost like they're trying to now get their own sort of tropical hops, the future mosaic citrus in their own country.
Can I just say, if there's anyone in New Zealand listening and they can get hold of a rhizome of this, please just grow it in New Zealand. Because I'll be honest, it'll be a 22% alpha acid and it'll blow everyone's head off. It's really nice.
I thought this would work quite nicely in a wheat beer or sort of light lagers and things like that. Pale ales like this one seems to do quite well.
It'd be really nice in a pilsner.
I'm not sure it's quite punchy enough to sort of headline an IPA or a a NEPA or something like that, but maybe as a base layer perhaps.
I'm with Chris. I think that'll really suit like a potentially a dry hopped pilsner or a dry hopped lager. I think that'd be great.
Right, who lives in Beirut? Come on.
Yeah,
sorry.
Somebody's got the Kalashnikovs going off outside.
That's me. My wife she can't get enough of the AK.
It's the Southampton ghetto.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess that's the hop tester wrapped up.
Yep, very nice.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.